If you're over 55, there's a condition quietly affecting most people your age, and you might not even feel it. It doesn't cause pain, fever, or warning signs at first, yet it's behind half of all heart attacks and strokes. Doctors call it hypertension or high blood pressure, but most people call it what it truly is, the silent killer. You see, your heart is like a tireless pump, working every second of every day to keep you alive. It pushes blood through a network of arteries, flexible tubes that carry oxygen and nutrients to every corner of your body. But when that push becomes too strong for too long, it starts damaging those arteries. Just like constant high pressure in a garden hose can weaken and crack the rubber over time. Here's the tricky part. You may feel perfectly fine for years while that damage is slowly building. That's why nearly 90% of adults in America will eventually face high blood pressure at some point in life, often without realizing it until it's too late. But the good news is, it's not a death sentence. In fact, you can lower your blood pressure naturally and even reduce your risk of heart disease and stroke by changing just a few daily habits. So in this video, we'll explore 10 powerful, science-backed ways to bring your blood pressure down naturally without relying on medication. These are the same methods that researchers at Harvard, the Mayo Clinic, and the Cleveland Clinic recommend to their patients every single day. We'll look at what really causes blood pressure to rise over time. It's not just salt. How small shifts in your diet can lower your readings by up to 10 points. The new super exercise that beats traditional cardio for heart health. And how sleep, stress, and even pets can make a real difference to your heart's well-being. Along the way, you'll also hear about surprising global success stories, like how one country cut heart deaths by 80% just by changing what was on their dinner plates. But before we dive into the how, let's take a moment to understand what's actually happening inside your body when blood pressure goes up. Your blood pressure is measured with two numbers. The top number, systolic, is how hard your heart pushes blood out when it beats. The bottom number, diastolic, shows how much pressure remains when your heart rests between beats. For most adults, doctors now consider 120/80, the sweet spot, healthy, balanced, and protective. Once that top number creeps above 130, it's a warning sign that your blood vessels are under too much strain. Here's why that matters. High pressure doesn't just affect your heart. It can damage the tiny blood vessels in your brain, kidneys, and eyes, leading to memory loss, kidney disease, or vision problems later on. And here's the even more surprising part. According to the National Institutes of Health, most people who develop high blood pressure aren't doing one big thing wrong. They're doing many small things, slightly wrong, every day. A bit too much salt here. A few nights of poor sleep there. Not enough movement. Too much stress. These habits slowly add up, like turning the knob of a pressure valve a little higher each year. As we age, our arteries naturally become stiffer, partly due to collagen loss, partly due to years of wear and tear. Think of it like an old garden hose. It doesn't stretch as easily, so pressure builds faster. That's why, even if you've had normal blood pressure your whole life, it can start creeping up in your 60 seconds. But here's what many don't realize. Modern research shows that even a 5-10 point drop in systolic blood pressure can dramatically reduce your risk of heart attack, stroke, and cognitive decline. So if your last reading was, say, 138/85, don't panic. That doesn't mean you need to start medication immediately. It means your body is sending a message. It's time to rebalance. And that's exactly what we're going to do together in this series. In the next few parts, I'll walk you through the Hashone diet proven to lower blood pressure naturally, and how to make it taste amazing. A simple 10-minute daily movement that works better than jogging for heart health. Hidden sources of salt in healthy restaurant meals, and how to spot them. The powerful mineral that acts like nature's antidote to sodium. How your sleep and stress habits silently shape your blood pressure, and how to fix both naturally. And a heartwarming reason to spend more time with your pet. Yes, it really helps your heart. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear, step-by-step plan to lower your blood pressure one small, sustainable change at a time. Because when it comes to your heart, Progress isn't made in giant leaps, it's made in calm, steady beats. Stay with me because next, we'll start with one of the simplest yet most powerful steps you can take today, the diet that's saving lives around the world. When it comes to managing high blood pressure naturally, one habit makes a bigger difference than almost anything else you do, and that's what's on your plate. Most people think healthy eating just means cutting back on junk food or watching calories, but for your heart, it's much deeper than that. There's a specific eating pattern that's been proven in hundreds of clinical studies to lower blood pressure by 5 to 10 points, sometimes even more without medication. It's called the DASH diet, which stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. Now, don't let the word diet scare you. This isn't about restriction or bland food. It's about adding in the right kinds of foods that naturally relax your blood vessels and support circulation. In fact, the DASH diet is less about going on a diet and more about returning to real food the way your grandparents probably ate. Here's what's happening inside your body. Every time you eat, your blood vessels either relax or constrict based on the nutrients you give them. Foods high in potassium, magnesium, and calcium, like fruits, vegetables, and dairy, help blood vessels relax. On the other hand, too much sodium and processed fat make them tighten. So when your meals shift toward whole foods and away from high-salt, prepackaged items, your arteries start to behave like they did 20 years ago. More elastic, more responsive, and under less pressure. Harvard researchers estimate that if every American followed the DASH approach, half of all heart attacks and strokes could be prevented. Here's the heart of the DASH pattern. Fruits and vegetables. Aim for 4 or 5 servings each per day. Bananas, oranges, spinach, and sweet potatoes are rich in potassium, the mineral that helps your kidneys flush out extra sodium. Whole grains. Swap white rice or pasta for brown rice, oats, or quinoa. They release energy slowly, helping stabilize blood sugar, which also supports steady blood pressure. Lean proteins. Choose fish, chicken, or beans instead of red meats. Omega-3 fatty acids in fish like salmon can improve arterial flexibility. Low-fat dairy. Yogurt or milk gives you calcium, which helps blood vessels contract and relax properly. Nuts and seeds. Almonds, pumpkin seeds, and flaxseed are full of magnesium, a natural blood vessel relaxer. And perhaps most importantly, reduce sodium to about 2 grams per day. That's less than 1 teaspoon of salt total, including hidden sources. Most people assume their salt shaker is the main culprit, but the truth is, about 80% of sodium in the American diet comes from restaurant food and processed items. That healthy sandwich, canned soup, or salad dressing might have more sodium than your entire daily allowance. Let me give you an example. A Mediterranean bowl from a popular restaurant chain full of quinoa, hummus, and chicken looks wholesome. Yet it can contain over 2,400 milligrams of sodium, more than you should have in a whole day. And if you add a side of soup or dressing, you're doubling it. The problem isn't just taste, it's that high sodium makes your blood hold on to water, increasing blood volume and pressure inside your arteries. Over time, that constant strain wears down vessel walls, setting the stage for heart disease and stroke. One of the most powerful real-world success stories comes from Finland. Back in the 1970 seconds, the Finnish government noticed extremely high rates of heart attack and stroke, some of the worst in Europe. So they did something bold. They launched a national campaign to reduce salt and promote potassium-rich foods. They even required warning labels on high salt products and encouraged food companies, including McDonald's, to offer lower sodium options. Within just a few decades, sodium intake dropped by about 30%, average blood pressure fell by 10 points, and deaths from heart attack and stroke dropped by a staggering 80%. Imagine if we did that in the US. Millions of lives could be saved, not through medication, but through smarter, everyday eating. Think of potassium as nature's balancing mineral. Where sodium tightens blood vessels, potassium relaxes them. It also helps your kidneys excrete excess sodium through urine, like opening a pressure valve. Adding potassium-rich foods is one of the simplest ways to support healthy blood pressure. Some great examples include bananas and oranges. avocados, sweet potatoes, beans and lentils, spinach and kale. Studies from the Cleveland Clinic show that people who increase their potassium intake by even 1,000 milligrams per day can lower their systolic blood pressure by up to 5 to 7 points. But, and this is important if you have kidney problems or take medications that cause potassium retention, this approach isn't for you. Always check with your doctor before making major dietary changes. You don't have to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Start with 1 or 2 small swaps. Replace a salty snack with a handful of unsalted nuts. Cook with herbs, garlic, or lemon juice instead of salt. Choose low-sodium versions of soups or sauces. And try preparing 1 homemade meal per day. That alone can reduce your sodium intake by 25%. You'll be amazed at how quickly your taste buds adjust. Within 2 weeks, you may start noticing that processed foods taste too salty, a sign your body is rebalancing naturally. Dr. Stanley Hazen from the Cleveland Clinic once said, "The food we eat sends messages to our arteries every single day, either to constrict or to relax. Your dinner table is your first line of defense." And he's absolutely right. You don't need to chase every supplement or medication. You can start healing your cardiovascular system 1 meal at a time. In the next part, we'll explore something even more surprising. A type of exercise that can lower your blood pressure faster than jogging or cycling, and you can do it right at home in less than 10 minutes a day. If you've ever been told that you need to do more cardio to lower your blood pressure, you're not wrong, but you're not entirely right either. For years, doctors and fitness experts believed that steady, rhythmic exercise, like walking, jogging, or cycling, was the gold standard for heart health. But new research has revealed something even more effective, and it doesn't require running shoes, a gym membership, or even breaking a heavy sweat. It's called isometric training, a form of exercise where your muscles tense up without moving your joints. Think of wall sits, planks, or simply pressing your palms together as hard as you can for 30 seconds. It sounds simple, even boring, but when it comes to lowering blood pressure, it's quietly revolutionary. A groundbreaking 2023 BMJ meta-analysis reviewed 270 studies comparing different forms of exercise and found that isometric training was the most effective in reducing systolic blood pressure, lowering it by as much as 8 points on average. That might not sound like a lot, but here's why it's huge. According to the American Heart Association, even a 5-point reduction in systolic blood pressure can reduce your risk of heart attack or stroke by up to 20%. So, if a simple exercise you can do in your living room can lower your blood pressure by 8 points, that's life-changing. When you hold an isometric position, say a wall squat, your muscles contract tightly, compressing the blood vessels inside them. Then, when you release, blood rushes back in, creating a strong flush effect that trains your arteries to become more flexible and responsive. This elasticity helps your blood pressure stay steady and lower over time. It's like giving your arteries a gentle workout, not by forcing them to handle high pressure, but by teaching them how to relax properly. Researchers at Mayo Clinic describe this as vascular training. Just as muscles adapt to resistance, your arteries adapt to the rhythmic tightening and relaxation from these static exercises. The result? Improved circulation, better vessel tone, and a calmer cardiovascular system. You don't need equipment or much time. Try these 3 beginner-friendly options. Wall sit, legs and core. Stand with your back against a wall, feet about 2 feet forward. Slide down until your knees form a 90 degrees angle. Hold for 30-45 seconds. Rest, then repeat 3 times. Do this 4 or 5 days a week. Plank core and shoulders. Rest on your forearms and toes, keeping your body straight like a board. Hold for 20-60 seconds depending on your strength. Focus on slow, steady breathing. Hand grip squeeze, arms in circulation. Hold a soft ball or towel. Squeeze and hold for 10 seconds, then release for 10. Repeat 10-15 times for each hand. Studies show that even this hand grip exercise alone can lower systolic blood pressure by 5 to 6 points when done consistently for 8 weeks. If you have uncontrolled high blood pressure, Check with your doctor before doing intense isometric holds, especially long wall sits or planks. Start gently and build up your endurance over time. And here's something interesting. While isometric exercises give the biggest single benefit, researchers found that all movement matters. Brisk walking, light yoga, dancing, swimming, anything that raises your heart rate gently and regularly will help maintain healthy blood pressure. The key isn't perfection, it's consistency. Just 20-30 minutes of movement per day can lower your risk of heart disease by up to 40%, according to Johns Hopkins Medicine. Think of it this way. If the DASH diet lowers the load on your arteries, exercise improves the resilience of your arteries. The two work hand in hand, like a perfect health partnership. When you combine even small dietary improvements with consistent activity, you're effectively rewiring your cardiovascular system to be younger and more responsive. Your vessels become more flexible, your heart pumps more efficiently, and your stress response becomes calmer. That's why in Finland's nationwide heart program, which we discussed earlier, exercise promotion was the second major pillar after dietary reform. Together, those two simple habits extended average life expectancy by several years. In the next part, we'll look at two everyday substances that quietly sabotage your progress: alcohol and nicotine. Even if you think you drink moderately or smoke occasionally, you'll see how both of these can raise blood pressure more than most people realize, and how to break the cycle safely. You've adjusted your meals. You've added a bit of movement. But your blood pressure still isn't where you want it to be. That's when most people start to wonder, what else am I missing? The answer often hides in three subtle yet powerful parts of your daily routine: alcohol, smoking, and sleep. These aren't just habits, they're biological levers that can either help your blood vessels relax or quietly push them toward constant tension. Let's unpack each one with clarity, no judgment, just understanding. 1. Alcohol, the relaxer that backfires. Many older adults enjoy a glass of wine or whiskey in the evening to unwind, and in moderation, that's okay. But what most people don't realize is that alcohol has a paradoxical effect on your blood pressure. Here's the short version. In small doses, alcohol may cause your blood vessels to dilate briefly, giving you that warm, relaxed feeling. But within hours, your nervous system responds by tightening those vessels again, often raising your blood pressure above baseline. According to research from Harvard Medical School, people who consume more than 2 drinks per day are significantly more likely to develop chronic hypertension, even if their weight and diet are otherwise healthy. That's because alcohol interferes with your body's natural ability to regulate blood vessel tone and salt balance. 2. Smoking. The fastest way to raise pressure and damage arteries. Even one cigarette can cause your blood pressure to spike for 30 minutes or more. That's because nicotine activates your body's fight or flight response, flooding your bloodstream with adrenaline, the same hormone that makes your heart pound when you're startled. Over time, this constant stimulation damages the endothelium, the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels. When that lining becomes rough and inflamed, your arteries lose their ability to expand and contract smoothly. They become stiff, like old pipes that can't handle sudden surges of water. That stiffness doesn't just raise your blood pressure, it also accelerates arterial plaque buildup, increasing the risk of heart attack, stroke, and even dementia. According to Cleveland Clinic, quitting smoking can drop your systolic blood pressure by as much as 10 points within just a few weeks. And after 1 year smoke-free, your risk of heart disease is cut in half. 3. Sleep, the overlooked pillar of blood pressure health. Now let's talk about something that almost everyone neglects: sleep.
Your blood pressure
You might think your blood pressure only rises when you're awake and active, but your heart depends on nighttime rest to reset its rhythm. When you sleep, your body enters a low-pressure mode, allowing your vessels to relax and repair microscopic damage from the day. If you consistently sleep less than 6 hours per night, studies show your risk of hypertension increases by 40% or more. Better sleep habits for a calmer heart. Even without apnea, many of us can improve sleep hygiene. Try these evidence-based tips from the Mayo Clinic. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day. Your body loves routine. It helps regulate hormones that control blood pressure. Keep your room cool and dark. A temperature around 65 degrees Fahrenheit, 18 degrees Celsius, supports deeper sleep. Avoid screens 1 hour before bed. The blue light tells your brain it's still daytime. Skip alcohol at night. It may help you fall asleep, but it disrupts deep sleep cycles and raises blood pressure the next morning. Add a relaxation cue. Try deep breathing, gentle stretching, or listening to calm music before bed. These small steps create a nighttime environment that signals to your heart it's safe to rest. In the next part, we'll explore one more powerful but often misunderstood factor: stress. You'll learn why chronic stress keeps your blood pressure high even if you eat well and exercise, and how simple mindset shifts can literally lower your readings. You've probably felt it that moment. Your heart races, your chest tightens, and your breath shortens after an argument, a worry, or even a bad traffic jam. That's stress, and for your blood pressure, it's like gasoline on a slow-burning fire. Most people think of hypertension as purely physical salt, weight, or age. But your emotional state, how you live inside your day, can quietly raise or lower your blood pressure just as much as any meal or medicine. Let's uncover why that happens and how you can use calm, connection, and even companionship to reset your body's pressure gauge naturally. Stress, in small doses, isn't the enemy. It's how humans survive danger for thousands of years through the fight-or-flight response. When something stressful happens, your adrenal glands release adrenaline and cortisol, hormones that raise your heart rate and tighten your blood vessels so you can react fast. That's perfectly fine if you're escaping a bear in the woods, but not when your bear is an overdue bill, a political headline, or an argument with your adult child. Over time, chronic stress keeps those hormones circulating even when there's no real danger. Your blood pressure stays elevated, your arteries remain tense, and your heart never gets the rest it deserves. According to the American Psychological Association, about 70% of adults over 50 report that daily stress, not genetics, is their main health trigger. And studies from the National Institute on Aging show that long-term emotional stress can age your blood vessels by as much as 10 extra years. Stress, in small doses, isn't the enemy. It's how humans survive danger for thousands of years through the fight-or-flight response. When something stressful happens, your adrenal glands release adrenaline and cortisol, hormones that raise your heart rate and tighten your blood vessels so you can react fast. That's perfectly fine if you're escaping a bear in the woods, but not when your bear is an overdue bill, a political headline, or an argument with your adult child. Over time, chronic stress keeps those hormones circulating even when there's no real danger. Your blood pressure stays elevated, your arteries remain tense, and your heart never gets the rest it deserves. According to the American Psychological Association, about 70% of adults over 50 report that daily stress, not genetics, is their main health trigger. And studies from the National Institute on Aging show that long-term emotional stress can age your blood vessels by as much as 10 extra years. We can't always eliminate stress, but we can change how we respond to it. In fact, research from Johns Hopkins University found that the real damage isn't caused by the stressful event itself, but by how people cope with it afterward. Unhealthy coping, like overeating, drinking, or smoking, keeps blood pressure high long after the stressor is gone. Healthy coping, like breathing, walking, or journaling, helps your nervous system reset quickly, bringing your pressure back down naturally. Let's look at 3 practical, science-backed habits to help your heart stay calm. This one is so simple. You can do it anywhere, at your desk, in bed, or even while waiting for the microwave. Here's how it works. Inhale quietly through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 7 seconds. Exhale slowly through your mouth for 8 seconds. Repeat 4 times. This pattern signals your brain to switch from fight or flight to rest and digest. Within minutes, your heart rate slows and your blood pressure drops. Harvard's Benson Henry Institute found that just 10 minutes of slow breathing per day can lower systolic pressure by up to 6 points, about the same as taking a mild blood pressure medication. Take a short walk outdoors, even around the block. It doesn't have to be fast or far. According to the University of Michigan, spending just 15 minutes in green spaces, a park, your backyard, or even near trees can lower cortisol levels by 16% and blood pressure by nearly 5 points. It's not just exercise, it's sensory therapy. Your eyes, lungs, and mind all send your body the same message. You're safe. If you can't go outside, bring nature to you. Houseplants, natural light, or calming sounds like rain or birdsong have similar effects. It may sound simple, but writing down 3 things you're grateful for before sleeping has measurable effects on heart health. A study from the University of California, Davis found that people who practiced gratitude for just 1 week had lower resting blood pressure and slept better than the control group. You can write something as simple as, "I'm grateful for my morning walk. I'm thankful my daughter called today. I'm proud I cooked dinner at home instead of eating out." The point isn't perfection, it's perspective. Gratitude reduces the emotional tension that keeps your vessels tight. You can't stop aging, but you can age wisely, with a calmer heart and clearer mind. Each heartbeat is a message from your body saying, "Thank you for taking care of me." If this video gave you new hope or clarity, subscribe to Vital Health Guide US for more trusted, science-backed health tips for life after 60. And tell us below, which of these habits will you start today?